Hi, Zahara. I'm super excited to talk to you today. You're always such a pleasure to see, meet, and feel your energy. So I'm super excited. First, would you please share a little bit about yourself, what you're doing, who you are, and what you have to offer us and to the world?
Great. Thank you so much, Maria, for inviting me here. It's an honor to be here. So my name is Zahara Devi, and I'm a somatic sex educator and sacred sexuality coach. And I help guide people to embody their pleasure, to enhance their inner power, and to walk the world with confidence and magnetism.
That sounds
Yeah, yeah. So it's all juicy stuff, and it's all related to lots of sensual, playful, erotic, and pleasurable activities. Yeah.
So, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, I was super inspired to share about ecosexuality.
Yes, awesome. Tell me more about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually curious on, like, if you were to hear the term ecosexuality, what comes up for you in your thought process? Like, what's the immediate first response that you get?
Eco. So eco is something about nature and taking care of nature, kind of. But with sexuality, I don't have a clear picture of how this would fit together. So I'm
Right.
curious, what's your take on it, or if there is an official um, kind of definition of the term.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so it's interesting because I was connecting with YouTube this morning and checking out some videos from people around what they thought about ecosexuality. And to be honest, there wasn't really too many things out there that described what it is. And there was a lot of stigma and judgment around it because I think there's a very narrowed vision, or almost like a not too much of a broad vision of seeing sexuality outside of the body, or something that doesn't really encompass just penetrative heterosexual sex. So ecosexuality for me personally is like my connection and communion with the greater world around me, and how I infuse my wholeness within that, and how it infuses me and energizes me and creates a sense of wholeness. And for me, sexuality at its core essence for me is a sense of like being whole in myself. And sexuality to me is more than just the act of having sex with someone. It's like a greater life force energy. It's a energy that infuses the divine in the world around us, as well as what's within us. And so sexuality for me contributes to creativity, to our sense of confidence and aliveness, and our sense of well-being, and our interconnectedness with our bodies and with the people around us, our relationships. You know, it expands in so much areas of our life that I think that sometimes with the way that society like has functioned in the mainstream, there's a lot of limitation or taboo or stigma on how we can relate to sexuality in a way that feels connected with each other, that feels in communion, that feels really pleasurable and alive with aliveness. So ecosexuality for me is a way that I connect to that greater life force within my being and with the world around.
So I hear wholeness and community. So do I understand it correctly that you kind of tap into your own life force energy, aka sexuality, but also draw it from the outside, from nature?
Yeah, exactly. So there's the way that I look at it is ecosexuality, like we all are, like human beings are an evolution of species from the world. Like we evolved from the plants, from the rocks, from the minerals, from all the different animals that have formulated from the earth itself. Like we have come from that source, and we're constantly in communion with that resource around us, with the world, with the earth. Like we're constantly intaking the sunshine and the air, and we're drinking water, and we live with plants. And if we're in a big city, then we're still able to connect to the ground in our daily life. And so when I think about ecology and like how we contribute ourselves as a whole being, like as a species in the world, for me, like there's a sense of being able to relate to it in a balanced way, or in a way that feels disconnected. Like I notice especially, like, you know, with our world today, like we're often connecting through technology, or we're not really embracing all of our senses in our body to really navigate the world in a sense of balance and wholeness. And one way that to do that is to connect with nature. Nature itself can help to alleviate stress. It can help people recover from addiction, or it can also really help to heal emotional trauma, or you know, cultivate spiritual growth on a more deeper level, or on a more expansive level. And for me, I find that my personal connection with nature is through that spiritual enhancement, or that spiritual growth. Like I feel more healthier and more present in my body when I'm able to connect with the world around me and to nature around me. And so there's actually a point in my life where I felt like I noticed that I was starting to feel really sexually aroused in nature. Like I would be swimming in the ocean, and just the feeling of the silkiness of the waves on my skin would actually like make me orgasm. Unintentionally, I just wasn't expecting it, but it was such like a profound outside of my body experience that I can't even really put into words. But there's a part of me that recognized that there is a greater sense of life that can be intuit, or that it can be embraced if I really opened up my mind to allow that. And so I think where that came from also is like when I was at a certain point in my life and within my relationships, I was attracting really unhealthy relationships, and to the point where all of the different emotional trauma or the psychological trauma that came from that place and those relationships, it felt like I was on a meta view of things, that I was abandoning myself, like my inner being, in some form or way. I wasn't meeting myself in the way that my body and that my spirit needed to be met. And so one way that I tuned into my deeper remembering of my sexuality and my sexual core was through nature. And I remember like going out into the ocean one night, and the moon was full, and it was at Sombrio Beach in Victoria, BC, Canada. And so it's a beautiful beach. And I remember like going up to the rocks in the water, and the moon was lighting on the water. And I just remember having this pine cone. I collected pine cones a long time ago, but I had this pine cone in my hand, and I looked up at the moon, and I felt feeling such grief and sadness of how heartbroken I was around the disconnection I felt with humanity. And I almost felt like, you know, I've had more of an affinity with nature than I've had with human beings. And that was probably a symbolic reflection or a mirror as to how I really felt in wholeness with myself, because people are usually a mirrored reflection of how we relate to ourselves, or are in a relationship with ourselves. And so I looked up at the moon, and I just asked for help. I wanted forgiveness. I wanted some form of reconnecting to myself and to my intuitive nature that was really wise and knowing. And I found that by looking into nature, I was able to really tune into that sense of assurance and that sense of confidence, that I could just like really believe in myself, that I could come back home to myself in my body. And so that night I decided to marry the moon. I was like, please take my pine cone as a marriage offering. And I threw it out into the ocean, and I asked the moon to marry me. And you know how the moon has a smile on her face. So I was like, you know, there's like this sense of anthropomorphizing of objects around us. And so like I find that a lot in nature, like these human-esque qualities that bring a sense of communion, this communication that is beyond the scopes of the mind, and a communication that is more intuitive and more sensory filled. And so I married the moon that night, and I felt so alive with myself. I felt like there's a sense of renewal and this sense of integration that I've never experienced before, and especially within my relationships. And so ever since then, I've been venturing into the realm of what is it like for me to be in nature, and what sort of things can I experience within nature that allow me to feel who I am at my most human core.
Yeah, so I hear it's a beautiful, beautiful story, and I hear a lot of connection and finding yourself again in nature, but also there was a part of surrendering. So may it be like surrendering to nature and like not having those shields around you, but just being, but also surrendering in a sexual way. So with the waves in the ocean, and letting yourself have an orgasm, even though it was not planned at all, but it was just letting go. And also finding a connection with the moon, and feeling kind of whole again in nature. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
so many aspects of it.
Yeah, definitely. And within that, like that connection, I've noticed the ways that I have in the past limited pleasure in my body, and I've noticed that like there's so many ways that nature or the universe, the aspects within the universe can enhance my senses and my sense of pleasure within my body. And one way that I really love to do this is I connect with my five senses: my smell, my eyes, sight, my hearing, taste, touch, and I allow myself to really get visceral with the plants around me. Like if I'm out going for a walk, like I'll sometimes walk barefoot, and I'll feel the grass or the dirt beneath my feet, and I'll feel the firmness and there's to me like a sense of clarity that comes through when I'm walking with the earth, a sense of deeper presence that like just allows an inner peace to really surround my aura. And I allow myself to really get in tune with the senses of the body, and to find and explore what aspects of nature really allow for that greater sense of pleasure to arise in my body. Because like it shocked me when I had that orgasm in the water, and you know, ever since then I've been like pulling seaweed out of the ocean and like collecting thimbleberry leaves or other leaves or sticks or like pine cones or flowers, and I'll rub them on my body, just like either randomly, or I'll intentionally make like a ritual around it, and see what sort of pleasure can I feel in life. Because the more we experience pleasure in our bodies, the more it repatterns neural pathways up to the brain and enhances those oxytocin and serotonin levels, which are ultimately like the bliss hormones that we feel. And when we feel more sense of bliss or joy, or that sense of pleasure in life, like we start to, you know, there's a sense of revitalization with our energy, and we get out of these sort of like routines of our day-to-day stresses or work environments, and it allows us to really reinvigorate ourselves with a sense of aliveness and excitement and curiosity, and that inner quality of just, well, for me it's like an inner quality of like that pure essence or innocence of that, and just really enhancing that in my life. And it just, I don't know, it's made all of my relationships with other people and myself so much more better.
Beautiful. Like connecting to your own pleasure. So I hear, we were talking about ecosexuality, but what I hear is a lot about ecosensuality. So going in, like having pleasure and just feeling the grass, it's like taking taking in nature with all the senses and seeing like how much pleasure can there be, and just like by being in nature. Plus,
Yeah.
also there was a spirituality aspect to it, which is like coming coming to oneself and like being at the core.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, there's so many people that take like it's a growing movement, ecosexuality. Like it hasn't really been well known. It was created back in like the 70s by some people named Annie Sprinkle and Beth Steffens, and they're really great activists. Like they're amazing. I would highly recommend like looking up them on another, like on your own time if you feel inspired to look them up. But what they did was they kind of created this word enhancing from like ecopsychology and really tuning into seeing the earth as a lover instead of a mother. And how can we create reciprocity with the world around us if we start seeing the world and the earth not as resources to exploit or to over extract from just for our own gratifying needs, but how can we give back in a way that feels more equal and balanced, and that feels like, okay, can we actually relate to the species and the earth around us in a way that's in harmony? Because when we are always taking, imagine if you're in a relationship with someone and you're constantly a taker, and
Not
you
working.
just only it's not very enjoyable. So they through a whole bunch of their like art expeditions and stuff like that, they created a lot of radical activism around resolving environmental issues through connecting with nature and combining, like a lot of them will combine sexuality with that. And so you know, some of them would really, I don't know what some of them would do, but like, you know, they would go out into a river and they would masturbate to the river and allow their intention to enhance the ways that they can give back to the earth. And so our mind has super powerful qualities. If we really believe in the mind, the powers of the mind, we can utilize that intention to attract what we want, or to create some sort of reverberation of response with the thoughts in our mind, our beliefs, and our actions. So they would do this a lot. They would create the intention to self-pleasure, and with the intention to save the planet from over-extraction and from all the different coal industries and stuff like that, and to try to utilize that visualization in a sense of stopping climate change, or to stop environmental issues. So yeah, there's more about that on their personal pages if you're wanting to look into that. And for me, it's actually really beautiful because I was like taking the whole, I wanted to just explore what it would be like to, in my own life, to feel what eroticism could be felt or be explored through enhancing that with nature to the next level. So I remember the first time I bought a cucumber from the grocery store. And I peeled the outsides of the cucumber and I was like, all right, I'm going to lay in my bed and see what this does. And so I decided to self-pleasure. I masturbated with a cucumber, and it was like the most amazing thing ever.
I love it.
Yeah, it was like very cooling and like squishy. Like it didn't squish inside of me, but just like the sweetness from a cucumber when you peel it, it's just like there's moisture. And I found that by connecting with even simply vegetables, like it allowed me to find this sense of melting of my judgmental barriers around how I can experience sexuality, and how to really expand and broaden my my capacity for experiencing pleasure through the means of like the environment around me and what's in it, and how can I really relate to it. And yeah, for me personally, like I really love the idea of giving back to the earth as a lover. Like, how can I be in touch with the earth, whether that be physical touch or emotional connection or some sort of like thought process? Like, how can I be in touch with the earth as my lover? And it's shifted my perspective immensely. And I've just really allowed, within my own life, a transformation of, you know, introspective of how I can give back, or even the ways that I take from nature. It's allowed me to broaden my sense of how I really connect and relate to nature in a way that's in balance and in harmony, and that's sacred.
Yeah. Yes, the way you talked about this now, it felt very loving and very respectful and sacred. Really having a deep respect for nature, um, and that's so beautiful. I would love to see this more in our world.
Yeah.
And I also love how you, like, first of all, imagine that Earth is your lover. I think this is really a complete shift in perspective. And I'm gonna try this on, so I'm curious where this leads me and my thoughts. And what I loved about what you just shared is that everybody can connect to nature. Like, I don't have to live in the jungle like you. I live in the city, and I can still go out, go barefoot on the grass, and go into a lake or the ocean, or just like enjoy myself with a cucumber. It's so approachable, and it's not so difficult to do. So I
Well,
love.
maybe the cucumber aspect might be difficult for some people. They might be like, oh.
Well, psychologically difficult.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a whole other level of like breaking and destigmatizing the system of the mind to embrace that one.
I see that, yes. So these are wonderful ways to start practicing this. And I'm curious if you have some very short meditation that you use yourself, and that we can also like not only the physical acts but also as a meditation and as a mental and calming down
Definitely.
part of the ecosexuality and sensuality. So if you would love to share like 1 or 2 minutes, some short practice with us, that would be awesome.
Oh, most definitely. Thank you so much for asking. It's probably one of my favorite ones to connect with. And it's one of those meditations that you can do for any length of time, even if it's just like a 2-minute break from your, like having an argument with your boss, like in your office, or like if you spend an hour going for a walk in nature, even just standing in the backyard for 5 or 10 minutes. It's one of those ones where like you can go as deep as you want with it.
Mm-hmm.
And what it really allows to do is to connect your sense of your roots to like your rooted core of your being to the earth, and then combining that with the universe around you, and how to really like bridge that communion together in harmony.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Great, awesome. So I'll just invite you to close your eyes and just connecting to your breath. Just taking a deep belly breath. And just noticing your breath and how it relaxes your body. And just scanning your body from head to toe. And if there's any tension that wants to just be relaxed even more, you can do that through your breath. just allow all of your body to relax. Your shoulders and your hands. Relax your ribs, your legs, your buttocks. Even relax your jaw so that your mouth is slightly open. Relax your cheeks and your eyes. And start to visualize a light, an orb of light at your perineum or at the seat of your buttocks or in between. Whether you're standing or sitting, just allowing that orb of light to start to fill up your perineum. And start to breathe with your open mouth into that orb of light. And on your next exhale, breathe that orb of light down into the earth below you. Feel it touching the grass and the dirt, the roots of the trees, the layers of sediment in the water, all the way down to the earth's core. Breathing up, back into your roots, up into your perineum, and back down to the earth's core. And just keep breathing that a couple times. Open mouth on the inhale, and exhale back down to the earth. And just imagining on the inhale that little bits of light and life energy from the earth filling up and going into your perineum on your inhale and exhaling that light back into the earth in a constant rhythm. And on the next inhale, inhale that light up into the sacral chakra, which is just below the navel. And doing the same rhythmic breathing from the sacral chakra back down to the earth. Visualizing the mountains, the trees, the ocean, the sky, the sun, filling up your sacral chakra and back down. Then on the next inhale, inhaling up to your solar plexus, which is just above the navel, just below the rib cage. And filling up from the earth's energy all the way up to your solar plexus. Imagine this energy as light. And exhaling back down to the earth's core and inhaling back up again. And then on the next inhale, inhaling all the way up to the heart, imagining a light filling up the heart, and then exhaling that light back down to the earth's core. Really allowing your being to fill up with earth energy into your heart, filling your heart, then exhaling back down to the earth. Breathing in and out. And then we're moving up to the throat chakra. So in the center of the throat, just imagining you're inhaling from the earth all the way up to the throat chakra, pit of the throat, and then exhaling back down to the earth. Imagining light from the leaves and the flowers, the plants, being absorbed into your body all the way up to your throat. And then continuing to breathe all the way up into your third eye, which is just in the center of the forehead. Imagining the earth, the energy of the earth, the rocks and the crystals, the water and the sand to fill up with light and into your body, into your third eye, and exhaling back down. Inhaling all the way up to the crown chakra, all the way up to the top of the head, filling that up with light as if you have a crown of 1,000 petals, like a lotus flower on the top of your head, filling up with earth energy and exhaling back down through your whole being to the core of the earth. Inhaling sounds from nature, the animals from nature, the plants from nature, air, sunlight. Inhaling all the way up to your crown and exhaling back down. Really allow yourself to feel this as a visceral experience, filling all of your body, all of these centers with light. And then on the next inhale, inhale all the way up to the universe, imagining you're sending rays of light, of earth energy, all the way up into the universe, into the cosmos and the galaxies. And exhaling the galaxy and the stars and the cosmos all the way back down through your crown chakra, all the way back down through all the centers of your body, back into the earth, and inhaling back up the centers again to the universe. And just doing this a couple more times. Feel that your entire being, your body is a central channel to connecting the cosmos and the earth as one. Inhaling and exhaling light energy. Earth and cosmic energy combined with your breath. Being penetrated from both the earth and the sky. And really surrendering to receive that energy, allowing it to fill your entire being. And then on the next inhale, inhale all of that energy, that light that you've gathered, and imagine a big ball of energy in the center of your belly, the center of your power. And really fill up your belly as if you're putting light into a cauldron or a bowl and storing that ball of light in your power center, in your hara. Just feel all the different cosmic and earth energies circulating around in your belly. Just breathing into that. Just know that you are vital life energy. The earth is sacred, your body is sacred, and the universe is sacred, and it's all within you. Just Just taking one last big, deep inhalation and exhalation. And opening your eyes when you're ready.
I love your voice. You guys. Oh my God. So centering.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that.
So, if you want more, if I want more of you, or any of our listeners want more of that, I want to work with you. Like, who wouldn't want that? How can we find you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I have a website. You can find me at www.zaharaxdevi.com. That's ZAHARAXDEVI.com. You can also follow me on Instagram. I'm at Zahara X Devi, same as the website name. Or you can also find me on Facebook. I'm there too at Zahara Yamilame Devi, but that might be hard to pronounce. So I can just send you a link. Yeah. Yeah, those are probably the best ways to get a hold of me. And I'd love to hear from anybody if they're interested to hear more about ecosexuality or sexuality in general. I do offer one-on-one coaching packages for both women and men or intersex folks as well. So yeah, I love to talk about sex and sexuality. So there's nothing that could shock me. If you're open to it, I'm open for the conversation always.
Awesome. Yes, bring more ease to the topic. That's so important.
Yes.
And everybody is invited.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so grateful to share the evolution of like really breaking down the shame and any sort of embarrassment or negativity around sexuality and bringing in more of that sex positive allyship with ourselves, with each other, with the world. And just I'm so grateful to tune in with other people that are on that same journey or that are curious to learn more about it.
Yeah, definitely. And there are so many.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria. It was such a pleasure.
As always, it's an inspiration to talk to you. So many thanks to you, Zahara.
Thank you.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.